Greetings, Roboteers and Dapplings. Welcome back to Robocraft, where in this episode we are going to be continuing with my Robocraft from Scratch tutorial series. We are going to be taking out one of the other starter bots, but we are going to make a few slight adjustments to it before we go. You may have noticed in the first episode we were fortunate enough to unlock some new components. Now, we need to purchase these components. We don't just start with them, we have to actually buy them. And the first one we're going to want is a radar. Now, a radar is going to make an enormous difference for us. What else would we like? We might take a few more plasmas, but I'm not sure about that. We could also buy a couple of thrusters. Now, when you're purchasing any item, you can purchase it for Galaxy Cash or you can purchase it for Robo Points. Robo Points are what you earn in battle. Galaxy Cash is the premium currency. You buy it with real money. Now, as I mentioned in the first episode, I will not be purchasing anything with Galaxy Cash. If I use any Galaxy Cash at all, it'll be for flags, which have no effect on my robot at all. It just makes it look better. Now, you can purchase in block. If you hold down Control and then click, you'll purchase 10. Likewise, if you hold down Control and click on the X, you'll take away 10. We don't actually want 10. Well, or maybe we do. It's only 800. Maybe. Now, we could go with a couple of other things. We might even want to take a couple more plasmas. Alright, we'll take 2 extra plasmas. Now, one thing to be aware of is that you cannot actually use... Oh, I actually had a couple of them there. But you can't actually use any kind of mixed weaponry on your vehicle. There's one very notable exception, but that won't come into play until much, much later in the game. There are weapons called Tesla Blades, which are effectively energy razors. I wouldn't say energy swords because they're not sword-like. They're more like a cutthroat razor. But, well, no, it's not like a cutthroat razor at all. It's far too wickedly shaped for a cutthroat razor, but it effectively is an energy razor. And if you can ram into an enemy, you'll slice blocks off their bot. Or slice their entire bot to ribbons, one or the other, depending on how much health they have and where you hit them. Now, I'm not a big fan of having bots like this where the middle is even. Not too much of a fan of that at all. I guess we'll have to put up with it for now, but I'm not liking that. I prefer it to be an odd number of spaces so that you have kind of a middle to your bot. Let's shape this up just a little bit as well. We don't want to leave it without some nice shapes. There we go. We'll also get rid of these. Now, we're kind of mixing the angular cubes with the smooth cubes. This is not something that's easy to do. I actually don't find it particularly rewarding to try either. But at the same time, we could have that there, but no, it's just that never looks right. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, it will always look weird. One day they will make a cube that can perfectly merge and smooth out the differences between the angular cubes and the smooth curved cubes, and the war will end, but until that day they will live in conflict. Now, we also purchased a number of thrusters, and these can go pretty much anywhere, and they'll do more or less what you expect. They'll make your bot go faster, but you can also use them in some other ways. Now, if you're trying to look at underneath the bot, you can use some keys to lift or lower the bot. The comma and full stop keys will allow you to raise or lower the bot. You can also use the arrow keys to move it around in your garage. Useful things to know. Now, I'm going to take these blocks away, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put little thrusters pointing to each side on the front. They are purely there to help me steer a little bit. Now, anything else I want to really add? Could add some thrusters on the sides. Just give us a little bit of extra speed. However, we have reached our CPU limit. That is actually a hard limit on how complicated or how powerful your robot can be. The CPU up in the top left, as you level, you'll get a larger allowance of CPU to use on your designs. At level 100, I think it's 1,511 CPU you'll have available to you. It goes up by only a little with each level, but that little can stretch a long way in many instances. Now, I've removed the thrusters from back there because I just want to demonstrate something to you. When you're using a symmetrical bot, you can press X, usually, and it'll add a mirror line, but it doesn't seem to want to add one for me right now. Not sure why that is. Oh, perhaps it's because... No. That is not adding. I will quickly find out what that key has been bound to. It may be different now because I've made a new account for this. Where is the mirror line? Most keys can be rebound, so I'll probably keep this in the video just so you can see what we can do. Mirror mode. Oh, it's now M, apparently. No. I'm far too used to it being X. It will be X for now. There we go. Right, if you hit X, then a mirror line will appear down the middle of the bot. Now, it's not as useful here because it's not a perfectly symmetrical bot. And that is one of the other reasons that I like to have the bot with basically an odd number of blocks from left to right, so that you can have the middle block straight down the mirror line, and then when you place something, it'll place it evenly on each side. It'll even rotate it, so if you're placing a shaped block, it'll use the mirror of that shaped block on the other side, which actually is quite useful. Let's just move you over there, and then we'll grab... No, we won't. Putting thrusters in an uneven way is pretty much a recipe to make your bot a disaster, so don't do that. It'll drive like it's a bowl full of jelly. But on that note, let's jump into our next battle. Hopefully, we'll get a level up from this. So, Battle Arena, once again, I personally prefer Battle Arena, though throughout this series, I will probably switch between Team Deathmatch, where you don't get multiple lives, you die, that's it, you're out of the game, and it's the last man standing, or the first one to capture the enemy base. It's a very different game mode. It's kind of a mix between, Team Deathmatch and Capture the Flag, in a way. Whereas Battle Arena is it's pretty much capture the flag, just flat out capture the flag, or in this case, destroy the reactor. Now, once again, we'll probably have a little bit of a wait whilst we get into a battle. We're currently in queue position 82. It's going down nice and quick, and the average wait time is about a minute, but I will bring you back when we're in battle. And here we go. We have found our battle, and we are going to be on a nice little map here. This is one of the nicer ones, a pretty interesting one. There's quite a large frozen lake running through the map that can make navigation quite hard for wheels, but if you've got a hovercraft, then it's pretty awesome. Now, as always, you should probably just wish everyone to have good luck and have fun. It is the polite, dapper thing to do. Now, we have fairly even teams once again. This time I am actually the bot that I am advertised to be. That is a plasma bot. You'll notice that as my... Oops, sorry about that. Some people will load in a little bit slower than others. But you will notice that because I've added components to this bot, I've added thrusters, I've added my radar. The turning is a little bit better because of the thrusters, and that will actually help out on the ice because the thrusters are not affected by the ice, whereas wheels can find it very hard to find any kind of traction, so your top speed will be significantly lower. The thrusters can help you along. But as I was saying, because I've added components, the robot ranking of this bot has increased, and as a result, we'll tend to find that people will have more interesting bots to fight against us. Now, there is a tower down there that I would very much like to go and attack, and with these kinds of shells, we've got two people down there. See if I can't hit any of them. Maybe lucky. No, they're on the move. I think they've worked out that I'm here. Very well. Let's get down there. Now, one of the things you can do is if someone is stripping a tower of all of its crystals, you can wait until they've mostly done all of the work, and then swoop in and do the last of it. We didn't get an opportunity there because that little bot there managed to snipe the crystals on this side. Let's just make sure that all of our enemies are spotted. I'm not going to do a whole lot of damage with this particular weapon, but if I'm lucky, I might be able to hit something. Unfortunately, we don't have our rear plasmas very high up at all. That is a heavily armored bot. It's just a long snake of a bot, so let's just avoid you, shall we? Let's not play with you at all. Hello there on the ice. See if I can get you. Much slower reload time on the SMGs. Unfortunately, that enemy worked out that he should really be aiming for my... there we are, for my guns. Managed to take you down, but I've lost all my guns, unfortunately. Let's try and get out of here, shall we? Let's get back to the base. If we've got our tower up at all, which we don't, unfortunately... Ooh, that one thruster that I've got now is actually working against us a little bit. And just gently tap our way around and head back to base. Now, once our allies capture that crystal, the shield will activate around our reactor, the fusion shield. I was going to call it the plutonium shield, and that's why I was stumbling over my words. That is not the name. The plutonium crystals are what we're protecting. The shield is the fusion shield, and the towers are fusion towers. Now, if we can get back there, the shield will actually heal any friendly robot within its operation area. So I'm counting on our allies to be able to capture a tower. That's why I have not respawned, because I want to demonstrate how the shield repairs bots. It would have actually been better for me to respawn. In the early game, the respawn timer is so incredibly so incredibly low that there's almost no time when just killing yourself isn't going to be faster to get to full health. Because it will take time for the shield to repair my bot. Quite a lot of time, actually. Especially if they don't capture this tower fast enough. Come on, just a tiny little bit left. They may not know to go for the connectors, because that has taken an awfully long time for them to strip down those crystals on that tower. But there we go. The shield will just gradually add blocks back onto your bot. So, in the late game, it is very much worth it to get back to the shield and have your bot repaired, because the respawn timer is so long late game. In early game, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be more time effective just to respawn. You'll take a hit to your score because you'll die, but at least the enemy won't get any points for killing you, and also when you respawn, you'll be at full health. So it's much, much, much faster. From a tactical point of view, it is the better option to take. Are we fully repaired yet? I don't think we are. Let's wait for that to all happen. We need one more gun. I think we've got all of our wheels at the moment. I'm not sure if we've got all of our thrusters though. But as you can see, this does take a very, 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 very long time. There we go. We've got all of everything. There we are. Okay, we're back out there. Now, from this point on, if I die far enough away, I'll just be killing myself in order to get back to base. Alright, we want to come and take this tower down here. It seems that our allies have had a little bit of trouble taking it. Let's get rid of you if we can. Direct hit. Not bad at all. Shaved off a couple of the blocks off that bot. Might have made their life a little bit more difficult. There we go. Continue to hit them. About there, I think. And bingo. Always look for the vulnerable components on the bot. Places where it's going to be very easy to hit. Now, my turning thrusters are going to make moving over this ice significantly easier than it would be otherwise. So go for the tower. That's a higher priority for us right now. We want to take this tower as quickly as we can so that we can ensure that the enemy do not have its benefits. Namely, the clock cycle generator. When you capture one tower, it activates the shield at your base. Very, very important, because obviously not only can enemies not shoot through the shield, but it also heals your allies when they're there trying to defend the base from a direct enemy assault. Let's spot you and then attack. There we are. Now you might be wondering, well, why are you spotting it? Because most people can see that it's there. Well, actually, as it happens, you get points for spotting it as well. You'll get a few more points at the end of the game for having spotted enemies, so it's always, always, always worth your time to do. There we go. Let's just dig through the middle of your bot there, if we can. Looks like I'm coming under attack, so I'm going to try and avoid that if I can. No, come back. Now, when a player on your team leaves early, your respawn timers go down as a result. It makes it a little bit easier for you to come back from having less people in the game. Oh, wow, that was completely unintentional, but I love it when I flip like that and it actually works out for me. Yeah, that's right, come on down here. Now, it would be better for me to get closer to the wall here, because it's going to be harder for them to look down over the wall. Where are you going? Using my third-person camera hacks there, unfortunately. I feel a little bit sheepish for doing that. Okay, well, you're not on the move. Let's get that. Someone did just try to create a surrender vote. I'm glad that that did not go through. You are being incredibly mobile, but I believe I've smashed one of your thrusters, so I think it's game over for you. Someone is shooting this that I don't want to be shooting it. Where? Okay, you're over there. Okay, I'm caught in a crossfire. This is a bad place for me to be. Very bad place for me to be. I'm moving. We're going this way. Let's try and get up there and attack them. Oh, actually, you're over there. You're vulnerable. Go for an attack against you and help my ally as well. You may notice that when I've got less plasma cannons, my reload is much faster, and that is true. The less cannons you have, the faster they reload. The more cannons you have, the slower they reload. So it can actually work to your advantage, getting a couple of your guns shot off when it's in a little bit of a duel, as long as you don't do exactly the same to the enemy. If you're banking on having a faster reload time than they are, then you want to be prioritizing non-weapon mounts. And I know that might seem a little bit counterintuitive. And it might well be in most instances. I don't actually recommend doing this. But if in the unlikely event that you end up in a position where your firing speed being higher than the enemy may give you a chance to survive where otherwise you would not, then don't aim for their weapons, because you'll just make them fire faster. If that is, they're using plasmas. If they're using SMGs, then the more guns they have, the more DPS they have, because they fire a little bit quicker. So aim for the guns in that instance. But with plasmas, if your goal is to reduce the firing speed, aim for something else. Aim for something else important. So for example, try to find the cockpit, or specifically, the blocks that the cockpit is connected to. If you can find those blocks and shoot those off, then the cockpit will be disconnected from the bot, and the bot will be blown up immediately, regardless how much of the rest of the bot is still there. Now, they don't have a fusion shield. I still said protonium shield. And that means we can shell it from long range. Ah, drat. Just as I was saying it. That's a little bit of a shame. But we can still get in there and still attack the reactor. As a plasma, this is actually one of the things that we're better at. They are fantastically dangerous when it comes to hitting crystals, because they have an AoE. Now our reactor is also under attack. We've just got to bank on getting more of these crystals disconnected. You have to aim for the connection points. The reactor, much like the towers, has connection points, and you ideally aim for those, because once the crystals are no longer connected to the reactor, they'll simply blow up. So for example, if there are 4 connection nodes for the reactor, basically in the cardinal directions. We've separated all of these here. If we now separate all these ones here, all of the crystals between those 2 points will just blow up immediately. So it reduces the amount of work we need to do to get the maximum effect. Let's go for these ones. The AoE will spread enough. Okay. We've almost got it gone. This is going really well for us. It's basically come down now to a match between who can do the most damage to the reactor the fastest. And right now, we seem to be winning that. My ally there doesn't seem to know to aim for the connectors, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame. There we go. As you can see, it's just disconnecting huge chunks of the reactor's crystals. I've just got to try and do as much damage as I can, as quickly as I can. If I get shot too much here, we are probably going to lose this. Need to aim up. Come on. There we go. Managed to get the reactor right at the end. Oops. Sometimes when it tips over to the stat screen, you'll lose what you're typing, so sometimes it's actually better to wait. There we are. It's always nice to congratulate everyone for participation in the game, even if they lost. They fought well, unless they didn't, in which case, just don't say anything. If you have nothing nice to say, just don't open your mouth, or start typing on the keyboard. Whichever applies. Now, Fun Swords on the enemy team did the best for kills. Got a low amount of death, well, reasonably low. Actually, no, you've got a high amount of deaths, actually. Compared to this battle didn't actually have a lot of killing. I had 1 death, 4 kills, 4 assists. That's not too bad. As far as score goes, I was the 3rd, Fun Swords was the 2nd, and the Harris S was 1st. Well done there. 5 kills, 3 deaths, and 6 assists with an awful lot of damage done. I actually think that was a pretty good game. I think I like this bot, honestly. It's not amazing, but it's very, very low level. I think perhaps it could do with a bit better placement on the wheels. Now again, the first victory for this bot this day. Even though in the last episode, which was recorded just before this one, I got my first victory of the day bonus, it applies to each garage, not each bot design. If you change your bot, it's not going to change anything. You're still going to have to wait in that garage until the next day to get this bonus. But we get twice as much RP as usual. We got 4 assists, 4 kills, got 5 scouting. Now, scouting comes from your radar. If you're the person to pick up an enemy with your radar, then you get a scouting bonus. If you spot them, and that is bring your cursor over the enemy and press Q, you get a bonus for that. I got a lot more of that than scouting, so my radar wasn't as active as I was with spotting things visually. But that was not a bad game, all things told. I am going to like adjusting this bot, I think, and just building it up. But let's have a look at our level. We are almost level 3. What I am probably going to do is in the next episode, we are going to take out the last of the basic Robocraft robots, and that would be Robo 1 here. I will eventually change their names. Don't worry, I'm not going to be taking out self-named robots for too long. But as you can see, this one has an awful lot of wheels. This one really doesn't want to lose its wheels. However, you'll notice that these ones at the back are drive wheels. These ones at the front are steering wheels. You can notice by the little arc showing you the range of motion that wheel has, whereas these ones literally just roll. So we'll see how this little SMG can do in the next episode. I hope you've liked this series so far and will be joining me for the next. But until then, and as always, do take care.